Hello everyone, in this part of the lesson we are discussing brain, parts of brain and their specific functions. We all know that brain is very important organ of our body and it is doing quite many functions. But if we know particularly which part is doing which function, then we will be able to understand it better. And side by side we are also getting to know the educational implications and learning disabilities which are associated with certain parts of the brain, and if those parts are damaged then those learning disabilities may appear. There are many brain diseases which are associated with damage or not proper functioning of certain parts of brain. So in this part of the lesson we will be discussing the remaining two parts, that is midbrain and hindbrain. We have already discussed forebrain in the previous video. So if you have not seen that video, then you must see it so that you can develop better understanding. So in that video we have discussed the functions of cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus and limbic lobe. And we know that most of the functions which we know that they are the functions of brain, they are mainly associated with the forebrain. In today's lesson we will try to understand that what are the functions of brainstem. Brainstem further consists of two parts, midbrain and hindbrain. Midbrain is very small part of the brain but very important, and hindbrain is the latter part of the brain. Hindbrain is further divided into pons, cerebellum and medulla oblongata, and they are doing different functions. So let us try to understand what is midbrain. As far as midbrain is concerned, it is also called as mesencephalon, and it is the part which lies between pons and diencephalon. Diencephalon is the upper part of the brain which consists of cerebrum, thalamus and hypothalamus part, and pons is the part of hindbrain. So this is the part which lies somewhere in between diencephalon and pons, and hence it is forming the connection between these two parts. If we look at this picture, then we will be able to see that what is the location of this part. This part of the brain is forebrain, and this is the thalamus and hypothalamus part. This is the blue colored part which is called as the midbrain, is forming the connection between forebrain and hindbrain. So though it is a very small part, but we will get to know that it is doing very important functions. At the level of the midbrain, the aqueduct connects the fourth ventricle with the third ventricle. In the previous video we have tried to understand what are the ventricles. Ventricles are the spaces which are present inside the brain. There are four ventricles present in the brain, and these ventricles, they are connected to each other, which are called as aqueducts. Inside the ventricle there is a watery liquid present which is called as the cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid is also present outside the brain, and because of this fluid being present outside as well as inside the brain becomes very buoyant, and this fluid is also protecting the brain from the frictional injuries. So midbrain is that part which is lying somewhere where the fourth ventricle is forming a connection with the third ventricle, and this connection is through the aqueduct which is also called as Sylvein Duct. So this is about the location of the midbrain, and it is very important to understand because based on this aqueduct we will see that different parts of midbrain have been named differently. Midbrain, it further consists of three parts, that is tectum, tegmentum and basis peduncle. Basis peduncle is also called as crus cerebri. If we look at this picture, then we will be able to understand it better. Tectum is that part which is lying posterior to the aqueduct. This part is the aqueduct, and the part which is lying on the back side of this, that is called as the tectum, and this part is called as the tegmentum. And these two projection like structures, they are showing the basis peduncle. So that is about the structure of the midbrain. Tectum, that lies posterior to the cerebral aqueduct. Tegmentum, it lies in front of the cerebral aqueduct, and basis peduncle, it lies in the front and toward the sides of the brain stem. Let us try to understand more about these structures. Tectum, it has four rounded elevations called Colliculi, and that is also called as Corpora Quadrigemina or Cerebral Peduncle. Peduncle word means stalk. So because they form stalk like or connection like structure, that is why they are called as the Cerebral Peduncles. They are connecting this part to the cerebral part of the brain. There are four rounded elevations which are present in the midbrain. So these four rounded elevations, they are arranged in 2:2. The upper one, they are called as the superior colliculi, and inferior ones, they are called as the lower colliculi. So that part which lies on the upper side, that is the superior colliculi, and that part which lies on the lower side, that is the inferior colliculi. Their functions are different. Superior colliculi, it serves as reflex center for certain visual stimuli. This is the part which is processing visual signals and relay them to the occipital lobes. We know occipital lobes, they are present in the cerebrum, that is a part of or lobe of cerebral hemispheres. So what is the function of this part? That it is taking the visual signal and relay them to the occipital lobes. It is important to direct behavior responses towards stimuli when we are interacting with the environment, because we are receiving so much of information from the environment, which may be in the form of sight or sound, and accordingly we make movements of our head. These are called as eye and head movement. For example, when you are watching a cricket match, for example, or watching a child playing, so you see that the child is hitting the ball from one side to the other side, and you tend to look in the direction of the ball where it is going by moving your eyes and head toward the movement of the ball. So such kind of movements, they are called as eye and head movement, which we make according to the changes in the environment which we are receiving in the form of visual stimuluses. This happens due to the function of superior colliculi. Another very important function of inferior colliculi is that it processes auditory reflexes. So when we hear some sudden voice, we get startled, and when a baby who is an infant, when he listens to some auditory sounds, then he tries to curl his body and bring his limbs near to his chest, or he moves his body in such a way so that as if he is trying to protect his vulnerable parts. This type of reflex action is called as startle infection. It is usually seen till the age of 6 months of age of an infant, but in some species of organisms it can stay up till lifespan. In human beings, usually it stays up till 6 months, and similarly it is also controlling the blinking of the eyes and facilitating the sudden escape from a dangerous situation. So that kind of reflex is managed by this part of the brain. Now let us talk about the other part of the midbrain, that is tegmentum. Tegmentum, it lies in front of the cerebral aqueduct. This part has two very important functions. One is it includes the reticular formation. So, it is forming the reticular formation. Let us try to understand what is reticular formation or what is reticular activation system. Reticular activation system is that part of the brain which relays sensory and motor signals to and from the spinal cord to the brain. So, whatever information has to grow from spinal cord to brain, or whatever information has to come from spinal cord to brain, that will be passing through this center. And function of this center is that it is filtering out all unnecessary or not so useful information and helping the brain in concentrating. For example, while you are listening to this video, during that time period, some changes must have taken place in your environment which have gone unnoticed, because your all attention is focused towards listening to the words or processing the speech or trying to understand the content. So, because of that, during this time period, maybe someone has come into your room and left, maybe there is some barking sound of a dog outside, maybe there is someone who is calling your name but you have not listened to it because your attention was at some other place. You may not have listened to the sound which is being produced by your fan or by your cat. So, because these all are not that relevant information which is required for the present work which your mind is focusing on. This filtering out of the information is done by the reticular activation system. So, what is the main function of reticular activation system? That it helps in maintaining consciousness, awake, alert, aware and oriented. So, it is this part of the brain because of which we remain alert and aware. And if the system is inactivated, then it will produce sleep or partial consciousness. So, in case this system is not working properly, then the individual may be in partial consciousness stage. And most important function why it is acting in a body, that is to prevent sensory overload, so that only those activities they gain more importance which are important at that particular time. Another important function of tegmentum is that it has certain nerve cells which are forming the red nucleus, and their function is to aid in motor function. So, that means tegmentum is controlling what information has to pass to spinal cord or to brain, and it is also controlling some motor functions. Third part of the midbrain is basis peduncle. It is this part which is lying toward the front and toward the sides of the brain stem. Function of cerebral peduncle is to assist and refine the motor movements. Learning of new motor skills, that is also this function, and converting proprioceptive information into balance and posture maintenance. Proprioceptive information means that there are certain information which you know by yourself, and we learn them through practice, and after that it becomes a part of our knowing that how to maintain the balance and how to keep the body in a particular posture. For that, a very common example is given here, that we are able to sense what kind of floor is under our feet, whether it is concrete floor or it is grass or it is soft floor. Even when we are wearing shoes, we are able to perceive that information, that what is the kind of floor that we are having under our feet. This kind of information is called as proprioceptive information, and accordingly we can maintain our balance. Similarly, when a person is dancing, then also there are certain movements by which he is making gyration of the body. He may be moving on one foot and he is maintaining the balance, and he is able to maintain his posture also. This kind of function is done by the part which is located in basis pedunculi. So here what we have seen, that midbrain, though it is a very small part of the brain, but it is performing very important functions which are happening by their own, and we are not even able to know that how these are happening and how these activities they are taking place. So, most important function of midbrain will be that it is having the reticular activation center, and it is also controlling certain reflexes which may be related to visual signals or auditory signals, and at the same time it is also helping us in maintaining balance and posture.